Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a Bethesda Game Studios news update. I've done some digging on the AAA Freemium game that Bethesda Game Studios is developing, and originally we had concluded that this must be a console title due to its AAA nature. After some more research via job listings, as well as revisiting the topic of AAA games, mobile titles, etc., I feel like our collective verdict is not assured. I feel that this information I'm presenting today will open up the discussion on whether or not this actually is a console title, and more so leaning towards being a mobile game. So the original information of a AAA Freemium game from Bethesda Game Studios came from a job listing over a year ago where Bethesda Game Studios Montreal was looking for a game performance manager, and it was all about monetization strategies, how to earn money through a free-to-play game. The only Bethesda Game Studios free-to-play game with monetization in it is Fallout Shelter. In order to start opening up this discussion, I think we need to break down how Bethesda Game Studios Montreal is constructed. So through research via these job listings, I've learned that Bethesda Game Studios Montreal is split into two, with a mobile team and a console team. When we look at the Build Master mobile job listing, we'll see that they are seeking to create a AAA development environment, but obviously considering the Build Master title is for mobile games, there is a mobile team. Meanwhile, if you look at the producer job listing for Bethesda Game Studios Montreal, you'll see that right underneath it says producer, console team, and it's looking to push the bleeding edge of RPG development for the PC and consoles. So when they are looking for one or the other, they specify which. But it appears Bethesda Game Studios has a collective desire to push the bleeding edge, where if we look at the lead technical programmer job listing, we'll see that they're looking to push the bleeding edge game development for mobile platform. Now, we do know for a fact that a brand new mobile game is in development from Bethesda Game Studios thanks to an interview with Todd Howard by IGN at DICE 2017. I'm sure the first question that comes to mind is, can a mobile game be AAA? I think AAA is all determined via budget. AAA games have huge marketing campaigns as well as an insane amount invested in them. If Fallout 4 did anything, it collected ZeniMax a ton of money to invest in new products. It wouldn't surprise me much with all the money that came from both Fallout Shelter and Fallout 4 that they've decided to go all in on a new mobile game. It was obviously a cash cow for Bethesda, but also AAA games in the mobile department aren't uncommon. You look at Pokemon Go, XCOM, Need for Speed, Infinity Blade 3, these are all examples of AAA games in the mobile department, or at least games that pioneered the mobile genre to be more than just, well, there's no other way of putting it other than crappy games. We've seen ports like KOTOR make their way to the mobile platform. I wouldn't say that's AAA, but you get the point that AAA and mobile platforms can be pushed together if there's a proper investment in the product. So while this information isn't conclusive on which way it's going, we now know that Bethesda Game Studios Montreal has a console team, which actually their first game they launched was Skyrim Special Edition, and they have a mobile team which is more than likely heading up the development of whatever this game is that Todd Howard teased back in DICE 2017. Especially considering Behavior Interactive, some of the members from that team are at Bethesda Game Studios Montreal, and they helped create Fallout Shelter. I also wanted to resurface this discussion because when everyone was talking about bleeding edge AAA games, myself included, instantly assumed this must be a console title. But now we see via these job listings that it is specified when they're trying to push the bleeding edge of mobile and when they're trying to push the bleeding edge of console. With all that information combined, I assume it's safe to say that Bethesda Game Studios Montreal is helping on whatever Maryland is working on, and that they are heading up the development of the main mobile title that's going to launch with the next game from Bethesda Game Studios Maryland. Mind you, a lot of this information has been collected in order to form new speculation, but I really wanted to reopen this discussion after this new information and see how much you guys knew about game development, AAA, mobile titles, etc., because that area is a little foggy because it all boils down to budget from what I've seen. So I'd love to get your feedback on this, see where the discussion goes, and what we can unearth together as E3 quickly approaches. Can't wait to see what you have to say. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.